use your own API keys to access more language models in chat. So that's this new feature that we just added. So if I click on that, we see bring your own key. Um, this is limited right now to Copilot Pro and free users. So we don't have support in the business model, or sorry, in the business, enterprise, or Pro Plus plans for this right now. We're exploring bringing support to those plans in the future. There are some like special things that like enterprises want when it comes to things like this. And so we have to kind of take those considerations into our planning when we are thinking about supporting those plans. But if you're on free or pro, this should work for you. And you can see I already showed the manage models experience. We also have docs on this. If you go to the language models doc, we can share these in the chat that kind of walks through how to do all this. But I'm going to start with OpenRouter. So OpenRouter, I just go here. It's a unified interface for LLMs. So this is basically taking whatever model that is not from necessarily one of the foundation model providers, although it could be, and normalizing kind of the interface to be the same as the traditional chat completions API surface. So then essentially we can talk to OpenRouter and it behaves similarly to the OpenAI models and kind of the chat interface we expect there. And so we can just support that without actually having to do anything crazy, which is nice. So if I come over into models, there's a ton of models I can use, but the first thing I need to actually do is go set up my API key. Y'all aren't gonna catch me sleeping. I already configured my key. I wasn't gonna do that on the live
I
stream.
was gonna say,
I'm not that brave.
I
I've
got
loaded
you, Pierce.
I've loaded some credits in here. You can see I'm a big baller. Loaded in $10 of credits. But I've been using this a while. 23 days ago, I've only exhausted 50 cents, so that's
Yeah,
not
it
too
takes
bad.
a while to kind of beat it down.
Yeah, so let's hop back over into VSCode. So I'm gonna go back into manage models, open router. And so we're just pulling all of the models that are available from OpenRouter and populating them in this list. Hashtag UX is my passion. So we're gonna clean up this UX a little bit so it's not so overwhelming. So I do recommend, like for now, like go over to like the models page on OpenRouter, and they have like a nice filtering thing. I want to use this in agent mode. So one thing to always look for when you're bringing your own model is to make sure that it supports tools if you plan to use it in agent mode. So not every model supports tool calling, only some do. So I came over here and selected tools in this UI, and I can see these are all the models that actually support tool calling. So commonly people ask us about DeepSeek. Do we have a DeepSeek model that supports tool calling? Yes. So I can use DeepSeek in Copilot in agent mode. What about people ask me about Grok? I'm bad at spelling. Grok 3 beta. There it is, right? So um, this is like the main way that I'm going and kind of exploring different models. And then I'll come back over here. It was Grok 3 beta, I think, and DeepSeek, this one. It is kind of tricky. You need to look at the identifier because you can see there's like several DeepSeek variations available here. So you need to make sure it matches the one that actually supports tool calling. So I'll go ahead and register those. The first time I use this, I would have to configure my API key, but I already did that. So then if I go to my models dropdown, you can see I now have DeepSeek here and I have Grok 3 beta, right? So let's use Grok and we're in agent mode. And so let's just ask it to do something agentic. Build a simple Frogger game in HTML,
Oh,
CSS,
Frogger.
and JS.
I haven't thought
Yeah.
of Frogger in a while.
Honestly, this is like my go-to test for a lot of things. The interesting thing about bring your own key is for all the models that we provide inside of VS Code, kind of through the box per se, we're doing a ton of testing, benchmarking, right, to make sure that those models work really, really well. And then we're tuning our prompts and such to make sure that the experience is really solid, right? When you go down this bring your own key path, obviously the benefit is you can use any model. But the downside is that you could use any model, and it may not be one that we've actually done tuning to make sure it's a good experience, right? And so mileage definitely varies. And so if you're going down this path, I definitely recommend like exploring different models. So like I try out 3 or 4, just like I would do with the models we provide in Copilot. We have some docs and stuff. Cassidy mentioned a newsletter that shows kind of the latest and greatest in terms of which models we recommend for certain things. Also, there are benchmarks and stuff, but I feel like it's such a personal choice, right? Like everyone has their own vibes-based evaluation of what works for them. And then with Bring Your Own Key, like there's the vibes-based evaluation, and then there's like this actually works with the product or it doesn't.
Mhm.
We're gonna stop my live preview. We're gonna run this thing. Doodaloop. Keep my changes. Problem with being zoomed in so much is I'm zoomed in so much.
I know.
Um,
It's hard then when you're actually looking at it.
so we'll start our server. Where's our file? Let's just open this. So preview. There we go. Um, so I'm gonna just zoom out a little bit so we can see the Frogger game. So yeah, like, this is just kind of a simple example, but it shows like, hey, you can bring your own key. You can use agent mode. This was using Grok 3. Yeah, like then if I jump back over to my activity on OpenRouter, like you'll see that now I'm starting to get activity that's logged here. I can actually go in and see how many tokens I'm using, the cost, the speed of those requests. So that's a pretty cool integration that I get with the OpenRouter provider. I can actually go in and see, like, for specific API calls, how much usage I'm actually incurring,
Oh, nice.
which is super nice. Yeah.